everybody, welcome back to My Horror, Andrew Tibbs. Let's go ahead and get started because I want to talk to you guys about something really cool. For me, at least. It's cool for me. But, there you go. Big things have happened. One, I've got a haircut, which meant I've lost 30 pounds off of my normal weight. And another thing is, I want to talk to you guys about a movie that is very close to my heart. It's my absolute favorite film that I'd ever seen. I'm always interested to talk to people about their favorite movies, or what movies really cemented them into horror, and they'll all come up with something different, but this one is my absolute favorite. I speak, of course, the 1979 remake of the silent film classic Nosferatu. This is my all-time favorite horror film, hands down. Everything from the music, from the awesome acting from Klaus Kinski and Bruno Ganz, and Isabella as Lucy. Like, this movie is drop dead gorgeous. After I was doing the video on Valerie and her Week of Wonders, I was talking about how beautiful it looked. Made in the 70s, of course. It was gorgeous. How beautiful it looked, the acting, the music. Even though that movie was confusing, it reminded me of this one, and I thought, I gotta talk about this. And if there's any indication of how obsessed I am, I've done a few paintings. You can't see them, they're over here, but a few paintings of Nosferatu, and here's the newest one I'm making. It's not done yet, so don't judge me, but it just goes to show how much I love this guy. So, Nosferatu. So, I want to go ahead and just kind of give an overview of the plot. It's similar to, if anyone's ever read Dracula, or if anyone's, in case anyone hasn't seen the original Nosferatu movie from the 20s. It stars, it has the character Jonathan Harker, who gets word from Renfield, his boss, to go out to Transylvania and sell a piece of property from Windsor, Germany, to Count Dracula. Now, he's traveling up there. Like I said, the whole movie is absolutely gorgeous. It shows the countryside in Romania as well as Germany. Like, I want to move to Windsor. Is it Windsor? No, I'm going back into England. It's Wismar, Germany. I want to move there right now. Holy crap, that place is beautiful. But I get ahead of myself. He travels up to Romania, to Transylvania, and he runs it, and before he gets there, it's the whole thing with Dracula. He runs into all these gypsies who are trying to say, don't go. He's a vampire. He's going to kill you. But he, of course, ignores everything because, if he is able to go up to Transylvania and sell this property in Germany to Dracula, then he's earned a commission big enough that he can pretty much retire early. So, of course, I would ignore what the crazy gypsy. I'm not prejudiced to gypsies, but this guy's crazy. Like, I would ignore what he is saying. He goes up there, he meets Dracula, very Nosferatu, pointy ears, 2 front teeth, pale as can be. The guy clearly has an advanced case of lupus. And they share a dinner with each other. Of course, Dracula doesn't eat, but they begin to talking, and Jonathan gets all the necessary paperwork written down. Dracula signs it. He's like, I will sign it immediately, to buy that piece of property. And Klaus Kinski, the actor who plays Dracula, freaking awesome. Apparently the guy's a sort of a nut job in real life, had a lot of temper tantrums daily, but he did well in this role, so he did something good. But he caught eye of Jonathan Harker's pocket watch, but locket. And it had a picture of his wife in there, Lucy. Now in the original book, it's Mina Harker, but in this movie, it's Lucy for some reason, so we just let it happen. But it's Lucy, and he, is transfixed by her. And he obsesses over her. At one point, Jonathan Harker, he cuts his finger, that you see in a lot of Dracula adaptations. Cuts his finger, starts bleeding. And my absolute favorite scene from this entire movie, it is so darn creepy. He cuts his finger, and very quickly, Klaus Kinski, or Dracula, he gets in on that finger. He's like, and Jonathan, of course, recoils, gets back, stands up, and starts backing away slowly. And what happens here is while Jonathan Harker is backing away step by step, you see Klaus Kinski, he's just, fingers are really long, and the nails are, he needs to get a manicure. But anyways, he's like creeping up, like very slowly, towards Jonathan Harker. And then at one point, there's a chair in their way. Klaus or Dracula, he gets it and he moves it. He moves it really fast, and then he starts like still going slowly towards Jonathan, but in jolts. Like he'll have small moments of like going really, really quick. Ah, man, that is good movie making. That was one of my favorite scenes. And from there, Jonathan Harker, through more dreamlike encounters that he has with the Dracula, with the Count, he realizes, no, this guy is a vampire. Those gypsies were not insane. I'm insane for being here. And so Dracula, he ends up escaping. He finds a way to sail across the sea over to Germany by hiding in one of the several coffins that he has aboard this vessel. And, Jonathan eventually is able to, make his way back to Germany very slowly, of course, not as fast as Dracula is. But he gets there, and, he's a little bit sick at this point because he's been bitten by the Nosferatu. But when Dracula gets to Germany, it's really interesting. You don't see this with a lot of Dracula films. When Dracula gets over to Wismar, he brings with him these coffins that are also filled with gray rats. And when he gets there, not only is he killing the people that he's feeding upon, but it seems that he has also brought the plague with him as well. That seems to be plaguing the entire town. That was not a pun at all, but, people are just dropping left and right. And there's several scenes throughout the movie where you'll see gentlemen carrying these, caskets filled with bodies, sometimes like 5 to 10 at a time. Dracula is destroying this place. And Isabelle Lucy, realizing very quickly that, all the bad stuff that's happening to her town can be attributed to this man, she begins to take action. And she takes action. He comes to visit her at one point during night, stating to her that he wants at least a little portion of the love that she's able to give Jonathan for himself. Like, he wants a part of that. He expresses to her how, true pain is knowing that you'll never die and wanting it at the same time. So, as opposed to the Nosferatu that we saw in the original 1920 silent film, this Dracula has a soul. It may be a bad one, but he has a soul, and he longs for things. He longs for the kind of love that Jonathan had between Lucy, and he wants that for himself. In order to kill him, Lucy, and you see this in the original 1920 version, she lays in her bed and pretty much gives herself to Dracula. She's laying there, Dracula's advancing upon her, and he bites her, but she waits and she does this, or she lures him at the exact time that the sun is about to come up. So, unfortunately, he kills her, but, the sun's coming up, and that's what does Dracula over in the end. And I don't want to give away the last part of the plot that happens with Jonathan Harker. There's a reason why I didn't mention him, of what happens to him when he gets back from Transylvania, but it's a doozy of an ending. And so, really, really go ahead and check it out. There's a couple things I wanted to mention that were interesting about the film. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but it was shot both 2 times, back to back, once in English and then once in German. And you'll see most of the shots are very similar, especially the ones of the environment of the city of Wismar. But then the ones like the interactions between Jonathan and his wife, Jonathan, Dracula, so on and so forth, they're different. And so it's cool to pick up on those subtle differences that make the film what it is. Werner Herzog really liked this movie, of course he liked his own movie, but he considered the original 1920 version to be the greatest horror film of all time. One of the greatest films of all time, period. And like I said before, Kinski, I don't know much about him other than this movie, but apparently he's notorious for having temper tantrums. And people were wondering after seeing this movie later on, like, how was Werner Herzog able to keep Kinski, like, tame enough for this role? Because Nosferatu is not a crazy vampire. He's one that is very composed a lot of the time and just very slow movements and very creepy. And apparently, Werner Herzog would do the same thing to Kinski that I would do to my kids right before going to church. get them tired, man. Get them tired, and then after we get to church, they won't be as rambunctious or crazy when we're sitting in our pews, so all the attention isn't sucking on them. So Werner Herzog would get Kinski all riled up before shooting him in the movie. And so when it actually came time to start filming, he was so tired. So he was able to give us the docile but deadly vampire that we've all come to know in this movie. And so I just wanted to talk a little bit about this one. It's one of my absolute favorite films. Actually, again, like I said, it's my favorite movie. I can't get enough of watching it. I recommend all of you guys to watch it. I don't know of any streaming service that has it. I actually had to get mine given to me for Christmas. It was purchased on Blu-ray during Christmas time for me, so that's how I got to see it, so you guys can go ahead and do the same. But again, go watch Nosferatu. I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one. Bye.